After the death of LA Capone, 600 members would be devastated, but ultimately nothing would stop the gang's activities in the streets. While the murders they were committing were grabbing headlines, the music they were releasing was racking up YouTube views, and soon members would wind up getting more attention than they bargained for. RondoNumbaNine had gained a reputation as a violent loose cannon off the back of his drill songs with LA Capone. He'd also collaborated with Lil Durk and DJ Victorious on the track We Don't F Around, a song which featured Rondo and Durk referencing the loyalties between their crews OTF, 600, O-Block, and 300. Rondo had also dropped one of his biggest hits, a remix to the P. Rico song Hang With Me, which was notable for its extensive disses aimed at Tuka, the 15-year-old GD who was killed in 2011, as well as shouting out infamous O-Block shooter T. Roy and claiming that they go on drills together. Rondo was picking up steam in the rap game, and he went on to release a string of anthems after LA's murder, in many ways picking up the torch of 600's most buzzing rapper from his fallen friend. One infamous track was the disturbingly titled song Taliban, where he appeared to compare his gang activity on the streets to that of the major terrorist organization. Released on October the 7th, 2013, the song would also include pointed disses at dead ops like Fathead, and the video featured menacing scenes where 600 members would dance around with an array of high-powered weapons, including one particularly terrifying MAC-10 submachine gun. This gun would feature prominently in many videos and pictures associated with 600 members, and it became infamous amongst fans, being referred to as the 600 Mac. This would eventually cause fans to make compilations of all the times this infamous gun was actually present in 600's music videos and social media posts. Tay Capone would mention the Mac in a live stream where he claimed that he got the gun in 2012 and that people were still showing it off in 2017 when he got out of jail, and claiming that the gang had put in maximum work on their ops with this gun.
Man, that shouldn't work now. That got dropped off to me in my hands, and all of that was in 2012 or 13, and I seen four of them still toting that 2017 when I got out the joint. Some guns you guys just let go, bro, especially when we already had put in a maximum amount of work with that.
Things like this were making 600 infamous, and the hype would continue as Rondo and other members would continue to release high-profile songs, like his November the 26th collab with Lil Durk, Ride. However, at the end of 2013, it would be more than music that had Rondo's face going viral in Chicago, as in December 2013, Rondo would post a photo on his Instagram that would become one of the most legendary images in Chicago drill history. In the photo, Rondo can be seen holding up an anti-tank rocket launcher, or as fans would refer to it, an RPG, rocket-propelled grenade launcher. This is like a weapon straight out of Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, and something a lot more at home in a real war zone like Iraq or Afghanistan, with something like this truly making sense of the fact why they call Chicago Chirac. The photo itself would go viral on social media, reinforcing the image of 600 members as real savages who practiced what they preached and really waged war in the streets. However, it also caused a major alert for the local police department, and an investigation would be carried out immediately after, as a literal wanted poster would circulate among Chicago police gang units, explaining that they believed that rocket launchers were actually circulating among Chicago gang members, posing a genuine danger to the public, with pictures of the weapon and Rondo's own mugshot displayed prominently in a wanted-style poster that went around. In the aftermath of this incident, the photo itself was swiftly removed from Rondo's Instagram, but by then it was too late, and while the image was going viral, Rondo would tweet an angry message where he would deny the weapon or the photo was even real. But luckily for Rondo, it would appear that the investigation was closed with no leads or arrests regarding that specific weapon. But later, in an unreleased snippet from his Instagram, Rondo would even mention that his house was actually searched or visited by federal investigators following this incident. And the next year, Rondo would reference the situation in his song Trust Myself, where he claimed that the incident actually brought him a lot of publicity. This would become an infamous moment in Chicago drill, with many viral videos being made about the situation, garnering millions of views. Years later, Mimo600 would pay homage to Rondo, posing with an RPG in a gun store himself. And media antics such as these not only contributed to the image of 600 as one of the most savage sets in Chicago, but it also enforced the image of Chicago as a real war zone. Coming into the turn of the year, the hype around the Chicago drill scene was reaching its peak, and at the time, the term Chirac was being used heavily in the media, as the media was creating narratives about the violent death toll in Chicago being higher than the amount of US soldier deaths in the military conflicts in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. However, in fairness, as many news outlets would also point out, such hyperbolic headlines were actually largely distorting the reality on the ground. The point that they were making was that Chicago was in fact only the deadliest city in America in total homicides, but in per capita terms, it didn't even make the top 10 most violent cities. Therefore, the implication appeared to be that the violence in Chicago was slightly overblown if you were looking at it on a per capita basis. But that just goes to show you how powerful the antics of drill rappers were during this time. The symbolic shock of seeing a drill rapper toting an RPG straight out of the US military arsenal was hard to ignore, and it had the whole of America terrified of Chicago's streets. However, make no mistakes, whilst other cities were indeed deadlier than Chicago on a per capita basis, certain areas of Chicago, like the south side where 600 reside, and the more violent but less infamous west side of the city, were in fact still setting records for concentrated violence. And while the year of 2014 would actually turn out to be the safest in decades in the wider Chicago, in the neighborhoods around Washington Park, the war would reach a new boiling point. So even if you didn't think the city of Chicago was anything like Iraq, the boys from 600 were living in a true Chirac war zone, and the savages that ran the streets there were becoming increasingly violent as well as famous. In 2014, we would see things reach breaking point for 600, as some of their most famous and violent members would be hell-bent on waging war on their ops. But unfortunately for them, this time the authorities wouldn't be far behind. And for members like Rondo and C-Day, a small mistake would ultimately wind up seeing them losing everything in an instant. On the night of February the 21st, 600 members Rondo, real name Clint Massey, C-Day, real name Courtney Ely, Tay600, real name Jamonte Carpenter, and Lil Boo, real name Jerome Anderson, were at a party in an area called Murder Town. The party was located at 39th Street and Wentworth in the Wentworth Gardens housing project, which was actually once considered to be the best public housing project in Chicago before the gangs took it over. As seen in the image taken on the night of the party, Rondo was actually wearing a very loud and easily identifiable tracksuit in a bright orange and black camouflage print. And in that photo, Rondo can actually be seen with a group of girls, some of whom were part of a female-led rap group called Pretty in Pink. Pretty in Pink were making a name for themselves in the early drill scene, releasing several songs and music videos, most of them filmed by the drill legend DJ Ken. This group would even get shout-outs from Chief Keef, and in their music videos and on their social media, they could often be seen hanging out with members of the BD sets around the Washington Park and Woodlawn areas, particularly 600 and O-Block. Some of them can also be seen making cameos in 600's music videos, such as 600 Part 2, and in their songs, they would even claim 600. On their social media, Pretty in Pink and 600 would use moniker P&P 600, and seemingly these girls quite literally identified as members of the 600 gang themselves.
Smoking, doink. See that ass, sleepy fool.
Yeah. Don't make me come kill you with my little sister. I'll kill you on phone number.
This group included girls like Hannah, who was one of the main rappers of the group, even making tracks with Chief Keef. She also made music under the artist name Big Pink, and in recent years under the artist name Han Win. The other main rappers were Marie, who at the time rapped under the name Marie Ballout, but has since released music under the new artist name Big Pink Riri, as well as Shady, whose song Go In was a hit in Chicago in 2011, with the music video standing now at over 1.5 million views. This music video would also end up launching the career of Katie Got Bands, who makes a cameo in the video toting a tiny handgun. And then there's Amia, aka Lil Pink, who is actually D-Rose's sister, and Ray Ray, who was seemingly GBE Capo's girlfriend before his untimely passing in 2015, as well as many others. However, many of the members of Pretty in Pink were not from 600's hood, but were actually from the Murder Town area where this party was being held. Moreover, they certainly weren't the only girls who had been spending time with 600. According to court documents, on the night of February the 21st, 2014, 600 members would end up spending time with 3 other girls who were from the 600 neighborhood. At some point, Rondo and C-Day would leave the party with one of the girls in her van. Meanwhile, one or both of the girls still in the party would allegedly get into an argument with the members of Pretty in Pink, supposedly about a song that was being played. Perhaps this song was a Pretty in Pink song and they weren't fans, but during the argument, someone would shoot a gun in the air to try and stop the commotion. Now, the remaining 600 members, Tay and Lil Boo, would then leave the party with 2 girls, as well as Tay, who would allegedly make a call to C-Day telling him what had just happened at the party. However, Tay would later deny making this call.
These said that I called for them down there, bro. They say I called for them down there and had that happen, which was a lie. That's why the that said it, when she got on the stand, they locked her ass up for perjury. When she got up there and lied, locked her up for perjury. Mimo and them sister. Let's not forget that.
But soon after, they met C-Day, Rondo, and the third girl at a local Wendy's restaurant and headed back to Wentworth Gardens with a plan of carrying out a get-back attack on whoever had fired those shots. Documents would show that D-Rose was also present at this time and got into the same car as Rondo and C-Day. At this time, a man named Javon Boyd was waiting around the Wentworth Gardens area in his car as he had been dispatched for a job on his shift as a taxi driver. The car itself had no company livery or any indication that it was being used as a taxi at the time, so to the average person, this just looked like a normal car. The 3 vehicles carrying 600 members would make their way to 38th Street on Princeton Avenue, and here they spotted the idle car and noticed a man inside. The convoy then made a U-turn, and Rondo and C-Day would exit the vehicle and approach Boyd. Witnesses would then claim that they saw C-Day and Rondo open Javon's passenger side door and fire into the vehicle 4 or 5 times. They would then return to their car and leave the scene. However, unbeknownst to them, they had just made a grave error in touching Boyd's car with their bare hands, where police would later find C-Day's fingerprints. And to make matters worse for C-Day, he had also, once again, dropped his phone at the crime scene, this now being the second time that had happened. According to the girls, this was something that C-Day would even tell them, seemingly in the process also implying that he had indeed taken part in the murder of Fathead, during which he had previously left his phone in the van that was used in the murder. C-Day would then return to the scene with 2 of the girls, and once they would see that the scene had already been taken over by police, C-Day would then then send one of the girls to try and retrieve the phone by talking to the cops and claiming that it belonged to her. This would turn out to be yet another grave mistake, as that girl would then proceed to give a false story about what had happened, as well as her real last name and real phone number. The police would also record the license plate number of her car, and this encounter between the girl and the police would begin their efforts to locate her, which they would eventually succeed in, making her the first of 3 girls who would begin opening up to the police about the events of that night. Clearly the shooting was not pre-planned, and was ultimately carried out in such a sloppy fashion that it almost seems as if the culprits didn't care if they got caught. And to make matters even worse, the whole ordeal was caught on surveillance cameras, and due to the brashly coloured clothing the pair was wearing, it made them very easy to be identified on the recording. One of the girls would later tell investigators that C-Day had questioned the driver as to where he was from, and unfortunately Javon Boyd was actually from this neighborhood. However, according to Javon Boyd's family, while he'd been in trouble with the law when he was younger, he was not gang affiliated, but simply just an honest man working 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet. By simply telling the truth that he was from that neighborhood that day, Javon Boyd had unknowingly sealed his fate, and by killing Javon in cold blood on the spot, just because of where he was from, Rondo and C-Day had also sealed theirs. Eventually, on the 7th of March 2014, RondoNumbaNine would be arrested, and soon after, charged with the murder, followed by C-Day about a week later, with C-Day receiving no chance at bail due to his prior cases, while Rondo's bail was set at a whopping $2 million. And despite his now rich and famous friends like Lil Durk and Chief Keef, as well as Fredo Santana, Rondo would ultimately end up waiting for trial behind bars too. Following Rondo's arrest, DJ Academics, who was making a name for himself with his War in Chirac YouTube series, would clown on Rondo by going through a number of seemingly self-incriminating tweets that Rondo had put out immediately following this murder.
God damn it, I know this kid's only 17, but how dumb could you be? Now I gotta apologize in advance because I can't read this nonsense that these dudes are typing, all this bad hood vernacular. I can't really pronounce all this, but I'm gonna give it my best effort to enunciate some of this. I hate to be one of Rondo's number 9's associates on that day because he's tweeting everybody and everything, and he's probably incriminating them too. He tweeted a bunch at Lil Durk, and I'm guessing probably or hopefully Lil Durk wasn't involved, but he's tweeting him so much the cop probably has to investigate Lil Durk as well. He tweets out, "Don't sneak diss us or we will come and kill you." God damn it, getting a high off that gun smoke. God damn it. If this is the new stupidity level that's going on in these streets, I need to stay my ass in the house.
Meanwhile, the police investigation would find that the phone left behind by C-Day was damaged as it had been run over by a vehicle, but moreover the phone had been remotely wiped, meaning that if C-Day had just realized this possibility earlier and not sent one of the girls on a dummy mission to try and retrieve the phone from the crime scene, that girl may not have been identified and then captured by police, eventually turning to the witness that began the whole process of bringing down both C-Day and Rondo. The police would also identify C-Day and Rondo's gang affiliations, as well as their music careers by listening to their songs on YouTube, and they would even realize that Rondo had actually worn the same outfit he committed the murder in a music video uploaded to YouTube just a week before the crime. However, the case would soon take a turn that would end up almost breaking the whole of 600 apart, as rumors would soon begin to spread about somebody snitching in this case. Soon after Rondo and C-Day were brought into custody, the legendary Chicago scene news site College Kid would post an article about Lil Reese denying online rumors that Rondo or C-Day were snitching. However, soon the rumors would begin circulating around another member, Tay600. Although at this point the fans weren't aware that Tay had allegedly been at the scene of the crime with Rondo and C-Day, one of the first to accuse Tay of snitching would be OJ from the 600 affiliated Lamron set, who in 2014 would send numerous shots from his now deleted Twitter account. Interestingly, OJ himself would receive snitching allegations years later when paperwork concerning the murder of Fathead would come out, with OJ being ironically accused of snitching on C-Day in that case too. But then, in June 2015, things began escalating quickly, as E-Day sent a cryptic tweet suggesting that somebody was no longer part of 600 due to them snitching, which the fans would quickly decipher was referring to Tay600, who would respond by vehemently denying allegations and seemingly dissing E-Day directly. Soon, other 600 members would chime in, with some seemingly staying neutral, while others like Boss Moo and 600 Breezy would engage in Twitter beefs with Tay. Although at this point Breezy would still say that he hadn't seen any paperwork on Tay, meanwhile, the Chirac scorekeeper himself, the infamous Mubu Crump, would also weigh in on the matter, claiming that it was in fact C-Day who was snitching on Rondo.
And according to the Chirac scorekeeper Crump, he said this. He said, "C-Day telling on Rondo. I hope he get out that jam. I ain't with the snitching." Rondo was always cool and respectful. Now, let's be clear. We're talking about the guy who's a domestic, the guy, the only savage to brand a weapon of mass destruction. Crump is claiming Rondo snitching.
Then, in 2016, things would really begin to heat up. In March, it was reported that the trial of Rondo and C-Day was being delayed due to an uncooperative witness, and rumors would then start to spread that one of these witnesses was Tay himself, who instead of cooperating, had actually gone on the run, with the US Marshals being deployed to locate Tay, eventually finding him with an illegal weapon. However, once again, information about his arrest would come out sparsely. Meanwhile, Rondo and C-Day's trial would move ahead, and on the 11th of March, it was reported that both had been found guilty and were facing 45 years to life, with 600 Breezy, who had apparently been at the court support tweeting the bad news, while other members like Just Blow and S-Dot would react, naturally being devastated at this loss. An emotional 600 Breezy would also air out his grievances on Twitter with Tay600, calling him a snitch and blaming him for the outcome. At this point, pretty much everybody in or close to 600, including people like Lil Durk and Lil Reese, would begin to attack Tay for snitching.
I don't know what Tay 600 snitching. I don't know about his snitch ass. I don't hang with him. Them not my homies.
However, Tay, who was still locked up at this point, would once again come out and firmly deny any snitching allegations. In April, the Chicago drill vlogger legend Zach TV would post a clip of a jail phone interview with Tay, together with an explosive description of what Tay had allegedly told him during their full conversation, although the clip itself would provide very little new information, besides Tay claiming that people were hating on him because he had been intimate with their girlfriends.
But I'm in this cooler, bro. I'm deep down the cooler. I'm just, man, I'm anxious. I gotta get back out to the streets. I'm missing a lot of money, a lot of moves, a lot of food being fed. I need to hurry up, get out of the dress, clean this on BD. And this time, I'm dropping all the juice. I'm gonna go back to white man and music from 2013 and 2014 when I was my baby mama.
But then in May, C-Day finally was sentenced, receiving a whopping 38 years. This was followed by the sentencing of Rondo in July, who would receive 39 years, just one more than C-Day. In August, DJ Academics would report that Tay, on the other hand, had received a 30-month sentence for a gun he was caught with when he was arrested earlier that year. Also in August, Say Cheese would drop their interview with 600 Breezy, who would explain that he had seen the paperwork and that Tay had given a statement to the police, although he ultimately hadn't ended up testifying against Rondo and C-Day during the trial.
A lot of people, they're accusing Tay 600 to running his mouth, but there hasn't been no paperwork for it, right? Has there been paperwork seen, or is it just like a assumption?
Now this the thing with cases like that, bro. I ain't gonna be on stick on it too much. You feel me? Like that paperwork don't be public, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? When it's some serious like that, only certain eyes can see that paperwork. Mm-hmm. But we seen it. Everybody from this block seen it. If we went to that courtroom, that lawyer let us see it, bro. Mm. So we just not gonna lie on nobody, bro. Feel me? And we love this shorty, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was out here with this we ain't never thought about. You know what I'm saying? I told him, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I talked to him one time after this, you know what I'm saying? I just told him, like, you feel me? I feel like he just made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have done nothing like that. But that pressure got on him, and he felt like nobody was gonna know what was said in that interrogation room. But he ain't touched that stand. You know, he ain't touched that stand, bro. He wasn't finna do that, bro. He didn't think it was gonna have to go that far. But that's misfortunate, bro.
E-Day would also give an interview to Say Cheese, confirming that Tay was no longer in 600.
Now, a lot of your fans wanted me to ask you about, Tay 600. That whole situation.
The Tay 600, man, yeah, you already know, man. He ain't right, man. Told, man, You told on bro now. Something ain't right, You know how it be, you know what I'm saying?
Your fans want to know, like, is he still 600 or is it like?
Hell nah.
Okay.
Dead.
So he's no longer around, he can't come around here?
No.
At this point, fans were looking for any kind of proof as to what had actually happened. Right then, a bombshell would drop and go viral as an alleged statement given by Tay was dropped online, seemingly showing that Tay had indeed snitched on his friends. However, this statement would turn out to be completely false, as Tay would explain to Say Cheese in December, at this point already being a free man once again, having already gotten an early release.
Let's talk about this statement.
See, my thing about that statement is, you feel me, be so dumb and stupid. You stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, man. For one, that ain't have a paper. Look, my daddy just did 10 years in a federal prison, and like 10 told him. I was a shorty, we had the paperwork that was about this thick, man. It let you know who said what and what said what, and it wasn't a pen like that fake ass that you just wrote me. And then for 2, they got my birthday wrong on there. They say I was being held on 26th in California when I was doing the investigation. That's the address to the Cook County Jail. That's not the address to a police station, where I wasn't at, you feel me? Then, like, okay, if I'm gonna tell on someone, I guess I ain't at the time I would tell the truth. I didn't know none of them when I was 4 years old. Courtney first, you feel me? And I didn't even meet him till I was a teenager. Me and Rondo, I met Rondo later on, and we was going to grammar school together, but I never went to grammar school with C-Day. I only went to grammar school with Rondo, and that was about a year because I graduated before then. Then, I never went to high school with C-Day or Rondo. We ended up all going to the alternative school for probably, I think C-Day got kicked out like the first day I got him in there, he get kicked out. Me and Rondo, we was in there, but he ended up stopped going too, and I dropped out too, so it was like we weren't even in school together.
Yeah.
So this don't make no sense.
Coming into 2017, the narrative was turning in Tay's favor as reports about the released court documents not including any proof of Tay snitching would begin to spread. In March, Tay would drop a song called The Truth where he rapped about the case, saying how people calling him a rat had never seen him in the papers, as well as saying that 600 was still cool with the women who had testified in the court against Rondo and C-Day. Also in March, Vlad TV would post a clip from their interview with Tay where he would explain what had happened with the case, saying how police had told him that they knew he had been present during the murder and tried to intimidate him to tell more, but he didn't budge, explaining that he wasn't scared because there wasn't any proof that he had been there other than some witness statements.
It's a simple fact, they can't prove that I witnessed anything. I know this, you feel me? They can't prove nothing like that because of the simple fact of I'm not on camera doing nothing. You know, it might be people identifying me saying that I saw it or I was at the scene or whatever, but you know, that's my word against theirs, you feel me? That ain't nothing that they could automatically just put perjury on, you feel me? Like, that's something that I had to have a trial within itself, you feel me? So I wasn't really worried about nothing like that. They didn't threaten me with perjury right in the investigation room though.
Tay would also accuse 600 Breezy of lying about seeing any paperwork about him.
They was there, and my people told me they never seen Breezy, you feel me? And so if he came now, he came and briefly left. Like, he didn't even stay long enough to see a lot of things unfold in the trial, you feel what I'm saying?
But even Fredo Santana would tweet saying that Tay didn't snitch. In August, it was even reported that Rondo himself was denying that Tay snitched in his new jail phone freestyle, which Tay would take as yet another victory. During 2018, things were seemingly beginning to calm down, with Tay even releasing part of a call between him and 600 Breezy, who was locked up at the time, where they would chop it up about the past and hashing out their differences. But under the surface, there was a lot of tension, and the relationship between Tay and the rest of 600 seemingly wouldn't be amended.
Before I did clear that up, E-Day is lying. You gonna listen to talk. I've never had anything taken from me. This is something that y'all need to know. I'm clarifying this now. I have never had anything taken from me, man. Nothing. They be putting false in the air and be having asking me about false ass information. Like, what the be wrong with these? What the be wrong with the fans for even believing these stupid ass little boys? Like, never been a lame. Kamiko on his watching me, she know who the real gang members is from my block, cause she used to come over there to see me and Matt. And who you used to see in my crib, them members on gang, just members. If you seen them in my crib, they was them members. Other than that, I was putting their ass out. I used to put the cop on them on my crib, boy. I used to put just on them on my crib, boy. Get the out, y'all ass. Go outside and get killed. I don't give a get out of here.
In 2019, things would go from bad to worse for Rondo and C-Day as both would lose their appeals, thus affirming their sentences of 38 and 39 years. Rondo would also get mad at Vlad TV for reporting how his legal team had attempted to pursue a new trial based on the fact that his previous legal team should have more vigorously argued for the theory that C-Day was the sole shooter. Rondo's anger would then turn to Tay, calling him a snitch and a rat. Rondo would continue in a jail phone call recorded by a friend where he claimed that one of the eyewitnesses that had been tracked down was Jamonte Carpenter, Tay's government name.
Who the was a witness with them? I bet they say Jamonte Carpenter. Y'all look at the statement of facts in my case. Y'all gonna see that the police and state was trying to track down eyewitnesses. One of the names is Jamonte Carpenter.
However, for Tay, these documents would be more good news, as they would become available for free online, showing that he wasn't mentioned as a witness during trial. Around this time, Tay was also officially announcing that he was changing his artist name from Tay 600 to Tay Capone, with the last name of course being a tribute to his fallen friend L.A. Capone. In 2022, M-Thang would post to his Instagram story claiming that 600 members only distanced themselves from Tay in fear of what other members might think, and arguing that Tay never actually stated who did the shooting. Trigger and S-Dot are some of the other members who have seemingly stuck with Tay throughout most of this drama. In 2021, Trigger would comment on his relationship with Tay, saying that he was locked up during most of the drama and that he hadn't seen any paperwork about him, and that he didn't care what other people thought. And in 2023, Tay would post a photo of himself hanging out in 600's hood with Trigger. S-Dot, on the other hand, would reflect on his relationship with Tay in his recent No Jumper interview, saying how he can't turn his back on his brother and that they had fought but eventually come to an understanding.
You and Tay still tight?
Yeah, that's my brother.
I seen for a minute, cause like a lot of people in 600 had like turned their back on Tay, but you was one of the first ones I seen. I came together and did an interview.
Yeah, I can't turn my back on, buddy. It's my boy.
How y'all get back in tune? Like, what was that conversation like?
It was like a real brother conversation. We argued, sent some threats, but it was, that's my brother. But yeah, he was tweaking with me. I was tweaking with his this the first time we ain't talked in a long time, so like, yeah, it was a little heated, but we got past. That's my brother. We got new music and shit on the way.
During the annual celebration for D-Thang in 2023, Tay could be seen celebrating in the same video with numerous 600 members, such as S-Dot, Trigger, Domo, M-Thang, and Young Famous. Meanwhile, in the years following their sentences, footage has come out of Rondo and C-Day behind the prison walls. C-Day would even be interviewed through a jail phone, during which he claimed that he regrets doing things for the people that he did.
I regret what I did. You know, I did for all the wrong.
And complaining that no one from 600 has put money on his books or paid his lawyer fees.
You know, it's making money off, you know, things that I put my blood, sweat, and tears for, you know, and for me to backbite down everything rolls, you know. A penny and everything, you know, we fight for our life, you know. No money, no lawyer fees.
C-Day also shared that he went to trial with a public defender, while Lil Durk had seemingly paid for Rondo's lawyer fees, as Rondo was signed to Durk's label OTF at the time. C-Day was ultimately left with nothing, and pretty much felt that Rondo threw him under the bus. Sadly, there seems to be little hope for either getting out before serving their full sentence, a sentence that they ultimately deserve for playing a role in the senseless murder of an innocent man, all because he was honest and told them that he was from the area. Rondo and C-Day were dangerous individuals that shouldn't have been on the streets for the safety of the public. Judging by C-Day's internet activity, he was literally hell-bent on killing people for fun on a regular basis during this time. So despite their potential as rappers, really, they were shooters first. They wound up facing the consequences that shooters face for the benefit of wider society. But I can understand why this is a hard pill to swallow when Rondo and C-Day were seemingly so close to rap stardom. Their sentencing for this murder put an end to their potential success in the music industry and represented a huge waste of potential. Rondo could be seen in his Zach TV interview anticipating his success in music and believing that he was headed to the top.
Yes, man. Trying to make it to the top. Flex with these. They.
Because after LA Capone was killed, Rondo was the next promising rap prospect in 600. But unfortunately, both artists would lose their careers to the streets in different but equally tragic ways. And today, the duo's biggest song, Play for Keeps, with 60 million views on YouTube, can easily be considered as a classic in the genre, which shows just what could have been. And when you look at the heights of Lil Durk's career and his OTF label that Rondo was a part of have reached in 2024, it's painful to imagine just how much Rondo threw away with this one bad decision. Rondo's solo music would also garner massive attention, and it's rare to find a video with less than 5 million views of his. Rondo had been making big moves in the industry and had even toured with the likes of Pusha T and Fabulous.
Finna start just collabing with all type of like real like that's already like at the top already. We're gonna see what's up, yeah? Cause I with a lot of already. We've been on tour, we Pusha T, Fabulous, all of them. We with a lot of that ain't.
C-Day also had promise in the music industry, even featuring on a song with Rondo that now has almost 10 million views, as well as having a close relationship with drill legend Chief Keef. But now, prison photos of the pair aging will be all that the public gets to see. But unfortunately for 600, Rondo and C-Day weren't the only famous members who wound up facing a lifetime in prison. It was only 10 days before the murder of Javon Boyd, another prominent 600 member would allegedly commit a high-profile murder that would ultimately see them taken off the streets for good as well.